I sit down, I light one up, and pour myself a drink. And I have found that it picks me up and gives me time to think. It's been a long day, you know it's true, but I'm feeling right at home. And now I must say that time is due. Let's get on with the show, not just blowing smoke.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Not Just Blowing Smoke, coming at you live from Twin Smoke Shop Studio headquarters here in Londonderry, New Hampshire, at the 724 Lounge. Be sure to subscribe to us here on YouTube if you're watching the stream live. If you're listening after the fact on Podbean, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Spotify, iTunes, or Google, or wherever else you may have found this podcast, make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you don't ever miss a thing. I'm Pastor Padron. I'm here with my co-hosts, Pat and Dave. And tonight is one of my favorite regular episodes that we do during the year. This is our annual short cigar episode. And this episode focuses on cigars of a shorter format. As we get into late fall, I still can't believe that summer's over. We're well into fall now, and winter's right around the corner. Most people I know who smoke cigars like to smoke them outside, and so this is the time of year where people kind of leave the big gigantes and toros and LFD diggers behind, and they go for shorter Vitola cigars so that they don't have to freeze their butt off while they're outside enjoying a cigar. And so each of us are smoking a different short cigar tonight, and I guess I'll start off talking about mine. Mine is the Intemperance BA Intrigue by RoMa Craft. It is a Petite Corona 4x46 ring gauge, and it is a very, very tasty Brazilian Arapiraca wrapper, one of the most expensive wrappers that are out there by weight, an Indonesian binder, and Nicaraguan and Dominican fillers. Pat, what about you? What are you smoking there?
So I'm doing the Mi Querida Trici Traca 448. So this has a Connecticut broadleaf wrapper, a Nicaraguan binder, and then Nicaraguan Dominican filler. I don't know the exact translation to Spanish, but Trici Traca is like, I think Saka said like spice bomb, something of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit different than the other version of the Mi Querida, the core version. This is more of a, I want to say a little bit more fuller bodied, but definitely more of a, what I would call like an aggressive pepper smoke, which is why I kind of pick it, which we'll do tasting notes in a little bit. But
Right. And Dave,
I am doing the My Father Le Bijou Petite Robusto. The Le Bijou is French for
French,
for the Jewel.
the Jewel.
Yep, it is a it's the wrapper is an Ecuadorian Habano Oscuro wrapper that's grown. Well, the Habano Oscuro wrapper that's grown in Ecuador.
Right.
And then the binder and fillers are Nicaraguan.
Nicaraguan, yes.
Yes. But yeah, it is absolutely amazing.
And yours is actually the largest cigar we're smoking tonight.
Yeah, it's
a 4.5 by 50.
4.5 by 50.
And Pat's is a little bit bigger than mine. It's 4 by 48. I'm smoking a 4 by 46. So these are all really legit short cigars.
Mm-hmm.
And we are pairing with it tonight something we haven't done on the show before, a black and tan with Stark Pumpkin Ale and Guinness on top. And it gets the name, of course, from being black on the
And
top
tan.
and tan on the bottom.
Yeah, baby.
Now I guess the Guinness floats. There you go. Last week we had our big Aladino Halloween event. And I thought we'd start off the show kind of by debriefing that and how it went. It was a really great time. If you weren't here, I wish you had been. We were all dressed up. Elise, one of our bartenders, does professional horror makeup, and I was transformed into a very ugly, scary wolf man.
It was.
And
It's very ugly.
yeah, yeah, it was wild. Most of the girls were done up as zombies or skeletons. Gianna just had one of our bartenders is kind of can't deal with the horror stuff. So she did really good. She had this nice, kind of slit along her throat, but it was great because she couldn't see it and she wasn't all made up, so she was able to deal with it.
You said all the girls were zombies and skeletons. I think the only skeleton was Sean. So
No,
Sean's
Bobby was a skeleton.
Oh, that's right. She was a Nightmare Before Christmas. What's his name again?
Yeah, I
forget what his name
I
is.
can't remember. But it was really,
The
really
Halloween
good.
movies that everybody in the world loves. Yeah.
We had
Isn't it named
smoke
Jack?
machines going. We had it was honestly it was the first time in like 20 years where the amount of man-made smoke and cigar smoke actually got to me. By the end of the night I was hacking, so I just I'm trying to talk to Edgar, who's the rep, and I'm like, so what are you doing? Are you okay, Dan?
Did you smoke the next day?
I kind of calmed down Saturday, Sunday, and actually yesterday too. My smoking went to a minimum because I just
pipe?
needed. No, I mean, well, yes, but I just needed to cut back and give my lungs a chance to clear everything out. But more than that, it took me about 3 days to get all the makeup off.
You're actually pure tonight.
Elise had totally transformed my face and with latex and fur, and she airbrushed my beard so that it was brown and black and it looked great. But let me tell you, it took a lot to get that stuff off. I mean, it only took about 20 minutes to get it on, and I was scrubbing. It took about 3 showers and a couple of Brillo pads to get most of it off, and I still wasn't able to
Scrub
get all
daddy.
the eyeliner off. That just kind of had to, wear off with my skin. But it was a great time.
It was
And
very exfoliated.
I feel fresh. I feel fresh. But you know what? You know what was a big hit was the haunted prize bucket.
Yeah, how'd that go?
That was a lot of fun. People loved reaching into that bucket, and we had this big 5-gallon bucket that was filled with the brand would be called Orbeez. I don't know if you guys know what that is. They're like these water beads. You put these little beads, they're like gel beads in water, and over time they, increase their size somewhere between 10 times to 100 times of what the size of the ball is. And so you feel like you're reaching through this bucket of eyeballs and goopy stuff, and you can't see what's in it because we covered the top. So you had no idea what was in there. And hidden in the bucket were ping pong balls. So you had all these really soft, squishy things that were all kind of slimy. And then you had to be looking around for a hard ping pong ball. And when you found one, you pull it out, and the color would determine what Aladino swag you got or what prize you got. And it was fantastic. And here's something that was funny though. There was one ball in each. We did it downstairs at the retail during the event, And then we brought the bucket up here to the bar and had a different series of prizes. And you'd pay $10 to reach in there, and you'd win a beer. You know, everybody won something. Who did it?
Oh, that's nice.
So you either got a Rosemary's Baby draft pour, a Sam Adams Oktoberfest, or there were a couple of Sam Adams prize packs, which included this really gorgeous Stein.
Oh, I'm jelly.
And then there was also a bottle of Rabbit Hole Rye whiskey that you could win, and a box up here of Aladino Robusto cigars. And downstairs, the big prize was a $50 gift certificate to Twins. And the funny thing was, both downstairs and up here, the big prize, the $50 gift certificate downstairs and the box of cigars up here, were drawn on the very first dip into the bucket. And I couldn't believe it. I mean, there's 30 different balls down there, and both times, the very first pull got the number one prize.
Nice. That's awesome.
So, you know, but it was a good time. We had a good time.
You had that.
It's better than nobody winning it. You know what I mean?
You had that bucket on your lap too, didn't you?
No, that you're thinking of Sean. Yeah, we had a really good time, and definitely look forward to doing it again. You know, we'd transformed the lounge too with lights and all sorts of creepy Halloween decorations. So between the smoke that came out as like fog on the ground and the natural smoke of smoking cigars in the air, the place looked great. It was awesome. What did you guys think? Pat, you were here for that.
Yeah, I helped out a little bit. You know,
Yeah.
I was around. It was good. I think it was the first event in a while that we've had where
Do you want to put
like
it on the
the
TV?
largest
I'm not.
success was
Everything's perfect,
like the
so I want to
reviews
see. I
from
want to do a
people that
stress
were, like,
test.
experiencing the event. You know, it wasn't necessarily
Oh, you
like,
don't know how to get it on there?
buy out the store kind of thing, but
Never mind then.
you know, like it's
Just leave
one of
it
the
off.
first times in a
But
while that I
everything's
had
running
people
fine,
actually
so.
come up and thank me just because we put it on. You know, a lot of customers just really enjoyed upstairs that day.
Yeah, everybody had a really good time, and it was a great night here at the bar, which was fantastic. Everybody had it was awesome. Now that we've had a little bit of a chance to talk about that, and we've got some other things coming up at Twins, but the details aren't firm yet, so I won't really talk about them. But has anybody tried the Black and Tan? And A, is it good? And B, how is it going with your cigar?
So I waited to touch it until I talked about like the initial
Yeah.
light on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll do that real quick, and then as you guys
Please
wrap
do.
up, I'll do it. So
Yeah.
the cigar itself, which we'll probably get into this in the discussion today, but you know, like with these kinds of cigars, like the flavor transitions happen a lot more
Rapidly.
like expedited, yeah, because it's that smaller form factor.
Mm-hmm.
So with the Tricky Traca, like right off the light, you get like a really, I'm gonna call it aggressive, but I like that kind of stuff. But if you're like a mild cigar smoker, aggressive, you know, you get like on the palate like a really aggressive like black pepper, like dark leather, like rugged earth, and then like the wrapper when it's like in your mouth when you're drawing kind of leaves like a little bit of a sweetness kind of on the tip of the tongue, and then through the finish, that sweetness kind of comes and like that pepper turns into more of like a subdued like Cajun pepper, like a red pepper, and then that leathery note kind of goes. You do get a little bit of kind of creamy cedar that kind of just underlines in there. So, but then right after you do the first inch of the cigar, or even before then, like that, those kind of aggressive flavors kind of subdue a little bit and kind of brings out more of that sweetness from the Connecticut broadleaf wrapper and. You know, a little bit more of a mild leather, mild earth, but it gets a little more complex. It can kind of pick up a little bit of like, I'm not going to call it, I'll get back to me on it. I'll wait to see if the drink brings it out, but there's something else there that kind of comes out. I have to kind of,
You still have
Focus.
to kind of think.
yeah.
Okay. Dave, how about you? What are you picking up off your cigar?
Well, my Petite Robusto jewel here is you get a burst of pepper and right off the light. It's got this creamy earth leathery mix with like pepper in it. For the draw, in the on the palate, I get like this creamy pepper that's left. I haven't really with the pairing. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
The I haven't really noticed any difference with the pairing.
Mm-hmm.
But the pairing, I mean, so we'll see. I haven't really picked anything out yet. But
Well, one of the things I love about the BA series of the Intemperance line from RoMa Craft is that Brazilian Arapiraca wrapper. It's one of my favorite wrappers out there. You've got this nice, dark, earthy wrapper that has some, really dark coffee notes to it, really dark cocoa notes to it, but it's got this kind of black grape-like sweetness to it. And I really dig that. There's a lot of flavor going on in the wrapper, and with a format that's this small of a ring gauge, you really get more of that than you do for other sizes in the line. And there's a little bit of pepper with this. It's not a whole lot, but it's nice, full-bodied flavor. And it's a medium, maybe medium plus cigar, but the burn is great. Yeah, it's one of these cigars and I find this is true with most of the shorter format things. It's very good to just kind of sip at it. If you take long drags on a short cigar like this, it's gone, in all of 5 minutes. So to really enjoy it, you just kind of slowly sip at it, and you get that really intense flavor on your palate. It's really, really good.
Yeah, that flavor I was kind of touching on. I'm gonna just say it's kind of like a mineral salt that kind of comes out, and the drink definitely because the pumpkin. And for pumpkin beer, like Stark isn't really a sweet pumpkin beer. It's really like
Right.
just pumpkin. It's not like really artificially tasting. So that kind of puts like a baker's spice kind of note in the profile, and for whatever reason, like it's kind of like makes kind of like a ginger kind of sweetness on the palate, but then like that like
Yeah.
mineral salt kind of comes out more from my cigar.
Yeah,
I'm
it
definitely
brings
getting that ginger.
it brings out a lot more earth in
Yeah.
my cigar.
Same with
A
mine.
lot of the sweetness goes away, which is something I really like in the Arapiraca. But that earthiness and pepper is increased. But the kind of dark coffee notes in this really go well with the pumpkin too. Surprise, surprise.
Yep.
Everybody loves their pumpkin spice coffee, except me. But
There's usually a little peppercorn that goes with this too, and I feel like that's kind of gone. That's one of my favorite things about like pretty much any of my father. I feel like they always have like a little note of peppercorn.
yeah, my fathers typically have this kind of like a lemon pepper
Yeah.
kind of thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it matters what cigar it is
Yeah, no, it
or
doesn't.
what
It's
line
very-
it is. Oh, it's lemon pepper. It must be my father.
Yeah, right. It's like their trademark thing.
Yeah.
Yep. But the it really brings out the earths and leathers. The creaminess is still there. The pepper dies down a little bit, which is nice if you retrohale after a big draw. You won't be crying.
Yeah.
But the drink is really pleasant with it.
Now, Dave, this would be a good time for you to introduce your topic for tonight.
Yeah. Which is whether or not it's actually worth it to get like why buy a cigar for like $8 or $9 or $7 for like a short cigar versus something that's like maybe just a little bit more
For double the size.
for double the size, and for me personally, I think with a shorter, and usually when it's shorter, you get a smaller ring gauge.
Yeah.
And
Unless
I
you're
think it's
talking
one.
a nub.
Yeah, unless you're talking enough, very true. I appreciate the smaller ring gauges a lot. The For me, it's based on really what I'm in the mood for and time, and that's another component of it. Like, if I want to have, like for instance, when I judge a cigar, for me, it's like the taste that you get out of it, and then the the amount of time you get from it. Because when you're, the it's time that you're buying when you get a cigar,
Right.
So for me, my favorite cigar for the price point is the Plasencia 6.2. That's 2.5, 3 hours, a $20 price point, and it blows away anything that you could get for $10 or half the price and smoke for an hour. You know what I mean? It's just totally perfect. But sometimes I'm literally in the mood for, something that's only gonna take me like 35 or 40 minutes to smoke. So for me, it's more of a mood thing. I would have to say. I'm not really moved by the price point. You know.
What's your feeling on that, Pat? I mean, do you notice people, balking at short cigars because it's $7 when you can get the larger version of the same cigar for $8?
Yeah, I mean, like what I notice a lot, and this is kind of like the detriment of the smaller cigar, is like you have someone that comes in and they'll be pretty transparent saying, I want something that's like a 30, 45-minute cigar. And then I'm like, okay. And I show them like cigars like what we're smoking tonight, and they'll look at that, then they'll see like the Vitolas next to it, like, especially in Saka's line,
Yeah.
you have fairly large Vitolas, because he prefers blending in that larger ring gauge. And, like for instance, like from, the 448, like the Robusto or the Toro is only like, $1 and some change more, maybe $2 more. So then they look at it and they say, well, the profile that you just said is great, but this one, they'll pick up the bigger one, and then it's like, oh, I thought you only have like 45 minutes. And he's like, well, yeah, but it's only another $1 more for this one, and it's like double the cigar. And I'm like, so I guess like the main part of like the point with Dave I want to drive from, maybe from his experience at Hooksit is like, do people like want to spend an extra $1 just to feel like they have the ability of having a better bargain, but then they put half the cigar down because they don't have time for
Don't
it?
be thrifty with the cigar.
Or do you see people that spend the amount of money that they do just to get like the exact amount? Because I see a lot of people that buy those 45-minute cigars that are bigger than the ones I suggested, and I come upstairs and they leave and it's like half the cigar sitting there. So it's like you could have saved that $1 instead of feeling like it was a better bargain, and you would have smoked the whole thing opposed to just keeping in the ashtray.
One of the conversations I like to have with a new cigar smoker, and this sets it up for later on down the road, is I'm like, if you smoke a cigar and you like it, generally you want to smoke the smallest ring gauge you can find of that Vitola, because it's going to make the flavors that you like pop out more. Because most of what you're tasting is the wrapper, and it's just math and ratios. So, and that's one of the first things I tell people. And so right from there, I try and push them towards the smaller, thinner cigars, if they already know something that they like, and I go to 724 a lot because you have the dog walkers and the WK, the 724, the Factory 57. That's
You've got
it's a
the
great
Londres,
place.
you've
You got
got
the
the
Londres, you got the
Coronas.
Lanceros. It's such a great line to start with, and it's not going to blow anybody out of the water either. But yeah, so that's what I try to do. So mostly, it hooks it anyways. Most people come in and they'll pretty much buy the size there's going to be smoking for the length of the time that they're there.
Right.
For the most part.
So you don't get anyone that comes in and you show them like the original Coraline dog walker that's, what is it, like, is that like $5.45 or something like that, right?
No, it's like almost $7. It's like $6.80.
Isn't it $6.35?
I think it's like 6:30. I think
It's like
$6.30 for the
$6.30. So
original.
then someone comes in saying like, I gotta be quick. I have like 20-minute, 30-minute breaks at work or whatever. Or like I mow the lawn, it takes me half hour. You show them that cigar, then right next to it you have the laundress, which is like an inch longer and maybe 60 cents more. And then next to that one, you have the 724, which is another inch longer, maybe another like 30 cents more. So do you have someone that like now that they told you they had like a strict 30-minute time span, now
I
they
mean,
buy that bigger cigar?
I won't say it never happens, but it's very rare in Hooksett. It's very rare.
So I would say here that probably happens most of the time, at least with my experience. Like you bring someone to show them like
I think that's part of the detriment of like the only negative thing you could say about Londonderry Twins is that it's overwhelming. 90% of what you're looking at are big cigars. You know what I mean? When you look around, you see nothing but big cigars. So, and Hooksett is a little different because you've got like, they're all like kind of lined up usually from like left to right, small, and then it works its way, works its way in. But I think that might be maybe part of it, but.
So here it's like if you sell someone, try to get them on like just use a dog walker, like right next to it they see the Asylum 13, that's basically the same price, but it's like a billy club.
Yeah. Yep. And we'll get into that, I think, in my topic in the last half of the show here. But what do you think, Pat, about the whole manufacturing of short cigars and small cigars? Do you think this is kind of a dying thing?
It's kind of one of those weird things because like again, like the American market is the big bulk of the actual like industry, like when it comes to sales and consumption. And your topic will touch on it, but like in America, like bigger is better, So like, like again, like traditional Cuban size is like a Robusto was like a 48 gauge. Now historically, as we learn in the handbook, it's like a 5x50, right? Like,
right.
So everything's gone a little bit bigger, and like now we see Robustos that are like 5 1/4 by 54, and everything's just getting a little bit bigger, and it's because of that American market, So when it comes to the actual like manufacturing of like your Petit Coronas, your Rothschilds, like anything below, I would say like a 5-inch cigar. I think it's not going away, but it's definitely not as common. Like for instance, like in Kurt's line, he has a dog walker representation in half of his brands, right? Like if you go to most other lines, you don't really see that.
Right.
Fuente does it to an extent, but Pete Johnson does a good job with Tatuaje having those options also, but I think that a lot of people aren't looking to make kind of like your time sensitive cigar, and I think a lot of factors kind of go into that too. Like if you look at like the nature of how a premium cigar is made, it's based on the yield of tobacco and what the size of the tobacco leaf is. So when you make one of these, like any of our cigars, like being that smaller ring gauge, you didn't just luckily come upon a wrapper leaf that just happened to be this small to roll on the cigar. Like you're still using the 4 leaf to make these cigars for the most part. Again, like you might be able to kind of, manufacturers have ways to kind of have leaf and have it be a whole leaf still, but do it. But most of the time you're using less of a leaf than what you need for that cigar. And
Factory seconds.
Yeah, like you pay the price still when you buy the Petit Corona because the manufacturing still goes into it. Also, like when you go to the smaller ring gauge, it's actually a harder cigar to actually make because again, it's smaller. So it's like you look at the, example of the people that sew. They have those big wooden needles and they do like those like kind of thread sewings, and you use like the smaller needle. It's a little bit more finesse to do it. The same thing with cigars. Like it's smaller in your hand, you have to kind of work it more. So, and then also like when you're done bunching the cigar, you use like a chavetta or like one of the pulleys to like cut like an inch or two of it off. So again, you're still paying for that tobacco, but it's obviously not going to be in the product. So I think that the current scheme of how things are going, you definitely don't see a lot of those smaller ring gauge or smaller size cigars coming out. And I think it's because of the American market. Now, if you go to Cuba, you go internationally, Cuba still makes these smaller cigars, because again, when you leave America, these smaller ring gauges are more prevalent, but when you come into our market, which is the bulk of it,
Right.
it's not really, again, like, why would I buy this when I can go buy an Asylum? Well, because this one, in my opinion, is going to taste better.
Right.
But most people look at it like from, like the cost per inch of the cigar, right? Like this cigar here is 4 inches and it's over $7. You're looking at like $2 an inch. Where if you buy an Asylum 13, it's like 75 cents an inch. That's how I've met people that think like that. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
totally, totally. I meet people like that all the time. It's so interesting. You're really looking for, what did I get for my money, and they're literally looking at the size of the cigar as the best bang
Proof
for the
of
buck.
purchase, yeah.
Proof of purchase. And but I really think that this mindset where, when you say I really need something for half an hour, or I'm only going to be able to be outside for 25 minutes before my feet start to get cold, but if you're not, listening to your tobacconist and having that mindset of what is the best cigar for that experience and that time, it's just weird to me how people think completely the opposite of that. They would rather get a larger format cigar, and like you were saying, Pat, leave more of it behind because they think they won that way.
And like even on the manufacturing level of it, like with examples, I think almost every smaller offering of a cigar, there's more of an intent behind it. Like, look at the Tatuaje Petit Coronas. They have a closed foot, where the other sizes in those lines, like the Brown Label, like they don't have a closed foot. Like it's like a unique thing that he does for that one cigar. Like,
Right.
look at the Undercrown Corona. Again, that's a little bit bigger than the cigars we're talking about tonight, but again, tweaked blend, double Ajero, stronger cigar. You go to the Aladino number 4, like we talked about last week, stronger cigar. Like those smaller cigars have more of a blending intent to them, because they want, again, like with like this cigar, like I said, like within the first inch, the flavor profile completely changed. It's like they put that full experience of that blend into a smaller form factor. So really, like when you light up a cigar like this, you're expecting it to deliver right off the bat. Like once you light it up, you're right into it. There's no like foreplay of the cigar, like, oh, give it an inch to heat up or anything like that. Like it's immediately hitting you right where it should be, and it's bringing you through for that entire duration of like the 30, 45 minute kind of thing. So
that reminds me of another one of my favorite small Vitola cigars, the Padron 1926 number 35, a petite Corona, just like this, and you know where it got its name, the number.
Is it number 35?
Yeah, the number 35. You know how it got the 35? It got the 35 because Jorge Padron smoked it in 35 minutes. It was a 35-minute smoke, so they gave it the number 35. But it's a great cigar if you're looking for something that's really good quality, but you don't have a whole lot of time for it. That doesn't mean you have to sacrifice, for something like that. And I think, people overlook a lot of these really small. There's a lot of higher end, like what we would call super premium cigars, like the Byron Petit Poema, or the Arabe Divinos, the new Alfonso number 1. That's a $30 stick, but it's really, really good. And it's designed to be, to have that more powerful impact on your palate and stuff, and be literally a 30-minute thing.
And then like the last topic with like manufacturing I can mention is like I kind of look at it like when you smoke a specific line or brand of a cigar, like there's kind of a ticket price to smoke it. Like, regardless of the size, you're paying for how it was grown on the field. Again, like when you're growing a tobacco plant, you know, oh, that's going to be a Robusto leaf. That's going to be no. You're paying for the plant. You're paying for the labor, which again, like hundreds of hands touch the cigar.
Right.
You're paying for the boxing, which again is a minute different in the size. I mean, if Churchill and a PD Corona is going to be different size, but you're paying for the manufacturing of the box, the labor, the stickers, you know, cellophaning everything. So when you look at, you know, I'll use Dave's cigar for an example. I believe that cigar is like $8.25, something around that range. And again, like the Robusto might be, I think it's like maybe like $9.50. It's like $75 more. So like to me, like the ticket price to smoke a Le Bijou is $8, and then from there you're paying an extra $2 to get the bigger cigar.
Right.
So like when I have people kind of looking at like, oh, I could spend $2 more for this cigar than this one, yeah, but the ticket price is different. Like if you smoked, again, this is all opinionated. The ticket price for your Asylum 13 is less because in my opinion it's an inferior cigar. That's just my opinion. But then you have like a Le Bijou that's the same price as an Asylum 13, but the ticket price for that one's more because to me it's a better product. You get better tobacco, better experience out of it. It's not just a big cigar.
Well,
and again,
you're paying for the aging process. You're paying for the, the quality of the tobacco that's used in those things. Yeah, I mean that obviously plays a big part.
I'm actually surprised you're not smoking a work of art or a read between the lines or
I was gonna do
short
that,
story.
but
Short Story is another awesome short cigar.
that was gonna be it. But I'm teasing. I'm gonna tease a little bit of the event coming up. I figured there's gonna be a better time to smoke something from that line. So, you know. I just
Had my day.
We are in the middle of planning a Toast Across America event, and we're working on how it's actually going to work, and the more details I get, of course, we'll announce it here on the show and in the bar. But for now, all you need to know is it's coming.
Dun, dun,
It's
dun.
coming. And whereas last year's event was very much kind of a come and get cigars, knowing that a portion of the proceeds are going to go to the Cigar Family Charitable Foundation, which is run by the Fuentes and the Newmans. We're doing more of an experience event this year. And as the details for that firm up, I will let you know what's going on. One of the things about short cigars is that you get to the point where you have the nub quicker than you do with the larger sizes. And while we're at it, one of the things that
Did you bring two of those up, Dan?
I did.
Oh, good.
One of the things that I often hear people talking about, especially with the RoMa Craft kind of cigars, is how do you get the bands off these things? And people complain about how they can't pull them off or things like that. It's real easy. Here, watch. See that?
Yeah.
Just put your hands around it and pull it down the cigar. It comes right off.
Do it again, Dan.
I can't. It's not there anymore.
you have one right there in front of you, Dan. You can do
Well,
it,
I
man.
can.
You gotta wait
I'll
for
do
it
that
to
next
up.
time.
I don't know, Dan. I don't know.
No.
All right,
No.
it's fine. No, you can always do it. It's
One
fine.
and done.
I'll
This
take
is
your
a
word
one and
for it.
done thing.
One and done. Yep.
But as it's not quite there yet. But this is my cigar confession for tonight.
Oh, here we go.
When you lie about taking bands off easy.
A cigar.
Hey, that's how I do it with intemperance. He's totally right. I don't
Watch it, or we'll talk about Marvel movies again.
Oh.
There's times like this where I know I'm gonna enjoy the cigar long after it gets uncomfortable to hold, and what I do, and I'm confessing this, is, I've got my pipe, and I will take the nub, and I will stick it into my pipe, and I will smoke it like that. Because you don't let a good cigar go to waste. Now,
Yep,
I know
it's
other people
pipe-worthy.
have their own, hashtag pipe worthy.
Yep.
Other people have their own ways of dealing with nubs. Some people take a little toothpick and jam it in there. We actually sell little 2-prong things that you can put into the back of your cigar and hold it or nub it. I know one guy who takes a matchstick and just breaks off the matchstick and sticks it in the cigar. What do you guys do when you're smoking a cigar that you are really enjoying? It's still smoking. Some cigars you get down here and you're done. You know, the cigar, you know, the tars and the oils are all building up and the flavor's changing. It's not meant to be smoked all the way down. But some cigars you're just enjoying to the point where it gets too hot to hold. What do you guys do with your nubs when you still want to enjoy the cigar, but it's too small to be held between your fingers?
Oh, you taught me the way, Pastor, and it's hashtag pipe worthy. That's what I do all the time. Yeah, because then you don't have to worry about it. You can just smoke it till it's ash. It's beautiful.
Smoke it till it's gone. How about you, Pat? What do you do? We force you to smoke a pipe on this show, but you don't really do it outside of that.
I eat it, Dan.
You eat it?
I eat it.
You eat your nub. Your father's sitting right over there.
You see me eat them?
Don't lie to Pastor Padron. You don't eat your nubs. What do you do when it gets really hot to hold? Do you get it like a little toothpick or something? Or do you roach clip it?
Yeah, there's a regular that made like one of these like thin kind of toothpicks that kind of like molds to your hand, and there's like this little two metal prong. You just kind of do that with it.
You got one of those in your little bag?
It's in my cigar box over there.
It's over there. Over on that table we're not sitting at?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Very good.
Next to the guy that built it for you.
Yeah. He's got a little shop over there.
Very, very cool. Well, we've kind of alluded to this topic, up till now, and that is that America is the country of the bigger and better. And, it's like the big gulp isn't enough. We have to have a super big gulp. I remember,
64 ounce.
I remember, a while back, hosting a international student coming over from China, and one of the things we did with her was take her to a 7-Eleven and got her a super big gulp, and she was like, "Oh, I have never seen something so big in my life," and she was just like, she couldn't believe how much liquid was in. I mean, it was 64 ounces. It was half a gallon, for 99 cents. She couldn't believe it. And you see that effect with cigars. For instance, for the longest time, the number one best-selling size for years of any given cigar was the Robusto. And those, like Pat said earlier, have been getting bigger and bigger and bigger, wider and wider, longer and longer. Now the number one best-selling size of cigar is the Toro, which is at least 6x50, and then it kind of gets bigger from there. And so there's this whole perception of, we want the biggest, the baddest cigar that we can get. Pat has brought up over and over again the Asylum, and you can say what you want about that line of cigars, but we can't keep it on the shelf. And more than that, they can't make their cigars fast enough for us to keep it on the shelf. The thing that really boggles my mind is that their 8x80 Asylum 13 is one of the best-selling cigars we have in the store. We have customers who smoke it every day. Every day they come and get one of these things, and they're on back order. You have to order them months in advance if you want to have them on any regular basis. But you get these, like the Brazilian Arapiraca, Intemperance line here. These little cigars, it's a very slow moving thing comparatively speaking, and it's this retails for us right now around $6.57, and you can get that 880 for like what, 10, 12. It's not that much more money.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
not a
for
lot.
like less than double what this is, you get a cigar that's like a pound.
Guy
Yeah, see, I mean, they're walking right here. We are doing the short cigar episode. We got people walking by with, bats that they're gonna, light up and smoke, batons. You can beat people with them and everything. And what is it? What is it with, you know, the American palate not being able to appreciate a smaller version of things? I mean, you think about it in the restaurants too. You go to a real high end place, you pay $100 for a plate, and you get this little piece of food in the middle of a big white plate that's drizzled with, Anjou or something like that, and a sprig of parsley on it. And you're like, why am I paying for this? I could go down to, McDonald's and get 87 Big Macs and be, much more. But we don't appreciate that, the smaller format of things. Why do you think that is?
I think it's weird because like typically when you correlate like American culture, everything's fast paced. Like you have to get everything done fast and efficiently. So I think it's kind of funny when it comes to like luxury things or I guess food luxury. I guess not everyone has the ability of having food accessible. Like it's bigger is better, right? Like when we want to put our money towards something that is I guess a luxury. Eating's not really a luxury. It's like you have to do it, but like it's just weird that like the jet flame lighters, like butane lighters, jet flames in America, that's the dominant lighter. But if you leave America, it's soft flame. People, everything's got to be faster in America. But then when it comes to purchasing things, it's bigger is better, right?
Yeah.
Like cigars, it's got to be bigger. It's like if you see like a lot of like the businessmen, like you don't have a lot of time to sit for 2 or 3 hours and smoke something. But then when it comes to like this industry, it's better for your buck and people will smoke it. But then again, a lot of the times you see half the thing in the ashtray.
Yeah.
So it goes down to you think you're getting a bargain, but you're not actually getting your other $1 or $2 worth out of it. If you just bought the Petit Corona, you got your whole thing out of it, But it's just weird that I don't really know why it is. It's just I think it's just most of the people that I kind of talk to that smoke them, it's the bang for your buck. Like, I mean, my dad had an example from one of his golf tournaments he puts on. He has a group of friends and they're like trash guys and they're like big wigs in these trash companies and they're, they made of money basically. And he, I think, was smoking a cigar or something. And I think he was talking about Asylum to the guy, right? Or you mentioned that cigar, like the big ones or whatever to him. He's like, oh yeah, that's my favorite cigar. My dad thought he was going to say, like, yeah, no, my favorite cigar is, like, something I took from Castro 30 years ago. I paid $1,000 for it, whatever. But he loved these things, and it's same point. You have this guy that's basically made of money. He's like, it's $10, and it's, look at this thing.
It's
huge.
So funny. Like, we have these two guys that come in, like, every Monday. They're both doctors. And one of them only smokes Corums. And that's a $2 cigar, and these guys make, at least 250 grand is like, for what they do. That's like the starting pay for like the doctor that they are. And you're just like, why are you smoking a $2 cigar? Like, are you still paying off your college debt or something? Like what's going on here? But also we have a comment from Registry. She thinks that Kurt's name for the dog walker is very clever because it's relative to the amount of time the consumer has to smoke a cigar.
Yeah, and that was very intentionally done. It's a 20-minute smoke. You've walked the dog long enough. When the cigar's over, you're done. I love those cigars. I think the Factory 57 is my favorite of the dog walkers. I tend to be more of a full-bodied guy anyway, though. But I mean, any of those cigars would be great for a 25 minute thing. A cup of coffee in the morning. Now, we've had people on the show, aka past hosts, like Paul, Pablo Maduro, and Nick Flanagan, aka Nick O'Teen. And in the wintertime, their smoking habits did not change. They would just put on the weatherproof coats
Yep.
and take their dog out for that 4 hour walk or something, and they'll smoke a big full length cigar out in the wintertime. And take your Gore-Tex. If that's what you want to do, you do you. But I can't. I've done the whole smoking sitting outside in the wintertime on the porch, with buddies, and it gets pretty stinking uncomfortable. We've been real fortunate. The weather's been fantastic the last week. Here we are. It's November and it's still in the upper 60s. It's not really all that cold at night. We've been really fortunate, but I've never understood how you can take a cigar that's going to take you an hour and a half, 2 hours to smoke, and sit outside and freeze your little tuchus off and still enjoy the cigar. I can see going out there for 15, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, maybe 30, and do that and get away with it and like it. But for me, if I can't feel my toes, I can't enjoy the cigar. So I'm inside. Now, I'm fortunate. I've talked about it on the show many times. I've got my smoking room in the house. I know not everybody is able to do that, but let me tell you, I would much rather spend the winter time, even with a short cigar, sitting in front of my fireplace, warming my feet by the fire, smoking that cigar, than standing out there and praying that my toes aren't going to fall off.
The Rod says if you have a Jack Russell Terrier, is an Asylum 880 a dog walker?
Those dogs can huff it. Let me tell you, they've got more energy than, geez. It's amazing. I'm glad Rod's watching.
Yeah. Thanks for switching over to YouTube, Rod. We appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, let me ask you guys a would you rather question.
Would you rather?
We all like hanging out here in the lounge, the 724 Lounge at Twins, and we've all hung out at other places and stuff like that. But would you rather be trying to enjoy your cigar in a lounge that was just too loud or disturbingly quiet?
This is an easy one for me, so I can go first.
Yeah.
Quiet. Yep.
Why is that, Pat? Don't say because you don't like talking, because you do. You talk a lot.
I just don't like smoking when it's like really loud. I mean, I smoke alone all the time, so.
I smoke alone.
I don't know.
Go by myself.
Like, during the day when I have a cigar, I'm usually by myself or I'm at home, so like, I'd rather it just be quiet. Like, if it's really, really loud, I can't. It's not enjoyable for me.
Where do you smoke when you're at home?
We're usually outside when it's this cold out.
Outside.
I usually resort to the lounge because my dad's built different, I'm already wearing like I'm already wearing like 2 layers right now. I think 50s is freezing, so I mean so during the day when it's nice out and like my dad's working and there's no one with me, it's quiet. So I'd rather it be quiet than like having a speaker above your head. You can't hear it, causes everyone to yell. I don't like it.
Dave, too loud or too quiet? Which would you rather?
For me, I don't know if I could
anyway,
choose
so it's really 6 of one, half dozen the other.
It really is, It's all,
Pablo.
Well, if it's loud, I mean, if I'm by myself and not with friends, I'd rather be quiet. If I'm with friends, I could care less how loud it is. You know what I mean? Because then that's just...
So you don't care how loud the place is?
No.
If you're with people?
If I'm with people. If I'm like, part of a discussion and,
Well, how can you be having a discussion if it's too loud?
Well, yeah, you shout. So
So you contribute to the problem.
yes, I can. Well, is it a problem? We're all having a good time. So but if I was by myself, I'd prefer to be in a place that's quiet. But that's my 2 cents. What about yourself, Pastor?
I have experienced it both ways, and I think I'm kind of like Pat in this. I'm very contemplative. I'm actually much more of an introvert, introverted personality, and so you would think that the quiet, the disturbingly quiet wouldn't be that much of a problem for me, but I find that to be problematic. If it's too quiet, I get really self-conscious about what's going on, and that bothers me. So I would rather be in a place that was a little too loud or even way too loud, because I just don't want to feel that awkwardness of every little sound you make reverberates around the room.
Yeah. I can see that.
Like I'll do it for you in just a few minutes.
Just put your hand around it.
Still waiting for you to take that wrapper off, Dan.
I'm still enjoying my first cigar here.
You don't have to light it. I'm just telling you.
Hashtag. It. You
I don't,
have
do
to.
I
it's
do I
like-
have a second cigar?
No. I bought this for myself. It wasn't like we bought.
You just touched it. Take the band off.
No. It just like any
If
other.
it's so easy to do,
Just
Jack.
like anything else, any other cigar, you wait until
You can put it back on.
The heat is loosening up the glue on the wrapper.
Right.
Don't take it off before it's lit.
you left that part
don't,
out,
Don't
yeah.
do that.
What, are you wanting to see it?
Yeah, I want to see it.
You want to see it?
RoMa
It's not
Craft.
so bad. I mean, come
The
on.
bands come right off, right?
No, it's gonna be on there until it gets hot.
I bet you try peeling it off.
That's when you cause problems. You don't do that. Don't wait until it's got some love.
It's the craft.
Can't just
Once-
jump right in there. You gotta warm it up.
Once it heats up, once you're about a quarter inch away from the band, it's gonna be warm enough where the band will just slide right off, and slide it toward the lit end. You're not gonna burn yourself. Just do it real quick. Slide it right off. That's how it goes.
You took the other band off the head end, though.
I'm gonna enjoy my, hashtag pipe worthy intrigue right now.
Just, I don't know. RoMa Craft has some pretty frisky bands to take off.
They do. They do. Now, what's the final verdict on the short cigars we've been smoking tonight?
I love the creaminess of the cigar. The creaminess of the smoke on the palate, the pepper. I love the lemon zesty peppercorn that you get with it. The only detriment is that the pairing kind of took away a lot of that lemon peppercorn, left me with just pepper and earth. So for me, the pairing was just like okay.
Yeah.
I think it'd be, if you were in a loud environment, it probably would be fun because you really wouldn't be focusing on too much on your cigar.
Let me ask you another question. What did you think of the black and tan?
I thought the black and tan was pretty good. It's
Have you had black and tan before?
yes,
This
but
is
without
my
a
first-
pumpkin ale.
This is my first black and tan.
It's
I've never
different.
had a black and
It's
tan
different with a pumpkin ale.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this
Is it still good?
It's still good. I'd prefer a regular black and tan, but
Yeah.
I'm not a big pumpkin.
You're not a
person.
big pumpkin person?
No.
I thought pumpkin pie was like one of your favorite things.
Pumpkin pie. Yeah.
That's pumpkin.
That's
It's like
pumpkin,
very pumpkin.
Pumpkin and nothing else. Stop.
So you like your pumpkin.
I
You
like
just
my
don't want it in other things.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Like pumpkin seeds are like that's like the best thing ever.
Pumpkin seeds are great. I love roasted pumpkin seeds.
Patio.
Patio, my boy.
Yeah, the Mi Querida definitely like again.
Stroke your knee a little bit
the-
more.
Yes. Grab the
Do,
bulge.
do you have the do you have the spooky bucket? Yeah. But yeah, so like most of the time when I smoke like the smaller format of any line, I typically find it to be better. You know, the Excasos, I would say, is the exception that we've had on the show. But yeah, usually I'm always impressed with it. Again, like the Mi Querida Trici Traca, they have a, I don't know what he calls it, but the Corona's like, it's kind of a long Corona. You know what I'm talking about.
The 648.
Yeah, it's like a Corona.
Yeah.
But well, Saka's Corona, I guess. But that's the one I usually smoke. But I feel like when I do the 448, I get everything I like in that cigar in like a briefer period of time, and I think it's a little bit, it pops a little bit more. So yeah, I have nothing bad to say about it, you know. But and then even I've started up the Le Bijou Petit Robusto, and again, out of all the Le Bijous, I know the Torpedo is the one that everyone goes after because it got Cigar of the Year in, what was it, 2014, something like that. But
8 years ago it got Cigar of the Year, and everybody still wants it. Yeah.
yeah, but I think
It's a good cigar.
the Petit Robusto, I think.
Do you know
beats
why
it.
they attached the 1922 to it? Because I wasn't able to find anything on that.
I'm gonna guess it was, probably not when the company started because he came after Cuba, so maybe it's his birthday.
I think it was his birth year. Yes.
I'm gonna guess it's his birthday. But anyway, like I think the Petit Robusto is the best. I would say the Judge. I have a kind of a bias too because again law school, but I think the Petit Robusto, Le Bijou is like the best My Father cigar, and I think it's the form factor. It smokes differently. It's the flavors come out more like that pepin spice you get in every My Father. I think it's more pronounced on it. Again, if you don't like in your face aggression, then don't do it. But if you're like a seasoned smoker or you like those kind of invasive spice flavors like I do, then you know, like, this is it. I think it's the best expression of
Well, I've
My
gotten
Father.
over an hour of this, and about halfway done. That's not bad,
Yep.
you know.
I'm still smoking mine, and this was only 4 inches. I'm still enjoying it, and the burn has been great. I mean, have you seen the ash on this thing the whole time? I had a really awesome ash going, and then it fell onto the floor.
I rarely find that like smaller ring gauge cigars have burn issues.
Have burn issues?
I rarely find that they
Oh,
do.
rarely
Rarely
have
find
burn
Like you might get like
I
a
was gonna say-
tight.
Like you said, it's the better rollers who are making them. too.
Yeah, like I think sometimes you get a tighter draw, or something, you know. But depending on like again like the more mass-produced, smaller like ring gauge, especially, maybe you can kind of run into that problem. But
Right.
I think I don't think I can pick out a cigar I've had recently that has had bad construction that's been like below a 50 gauge. To be honest with you, like I don't think I can say one right now.
Well, the Intrigue here has been fantastic. It's very consistent all the way down. Those flavors I talked about at the beginning, those kind of dark coffee, earthy pepper notes that have that sweet kind of black grape kind of sweetness to it. That's what you get all the way down the cigar. It's very consistent. It doesn't really cool off. It doesn't really heat up either. The flavors are very consistent all the way down, and even getting down to the last little bits of this, the cigar is very, very enjoyable. I really, really like it. My favorite Vitola in this line is the size up, the Avarice, which is, I believe, a half an inch longer, and it's a 50 ring gauge. But this has always been a really, really big favorite of mine for a short cigar, something for 30 minutes.
Excuse me. Yes.
Be sure that you hit that subscribe button on YouTube if you're streaming live,
Please do ring the bell.
or if you're listening after the fact on Podbean or Spotify, iTunes, Google, wherever else you get the podcast from. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss a thing.
Stay in
Next
this
week,
goodness.
we are going to be joined by Adam Nigerian from Altadis, and we are going to be smoking the Romeo and Julieta Nicaraguan Toro.
It's always good to have Adam on the show.
Yeah, good guy. He's always good on the show.
Yep.
Usually brings good booze too.
He usually does, but I don't think there'll be a need for it.
Yes. because we are in the
here,
hometown. Yeah.
since we're up at the lounge.
And I want to thank the audience. We have these two gentlemen at the end of the lounge that support us every week trying out the cigars we smoke. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for listening to us and everything. We will be back next week, next Tuesday, 8 o'clock with Adam from Altadis. You're not going to want to miss that episode. Thanks for being with us tonight. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.